SGC. Today's movie review, The Hobbit. So first off, I gotta say I watched The Hobbit in AVX 3D, 48 frames per second. So let's just talk about this 48 frames madness. So first off, 48 frames has not been done in like major films since for Peter Jackson. I heard they've been done in like special like showings of special fancy film stuff, but not actually like full up like crazy big blockbuster film. First off, the 48 frame. When I watched the first 5 minutes, that's where you hit you and it's like, this is not 24 at all. But for me, I thought it was just glitchy. Because let me describe the scene. So the beginning of the movie starts off with Bilbo having a voiceover while he's writing a letter and walking around. During these scenes, when he's walking around and that there's no like lips moving, compensate the voice and the action, it really felt like the voice was speaking at a normal pace, but everything else was sped up like really fast. And I was like, are they gonna restart this film because it's glitchy or something? But they didn't. But once they started talking, things were fine. And I must say, 48 frames per second, good stuff. One biggest thing I noticed is that when you watch 3D stuff, let's say I am the focal point of the theater. When you're watching 3D, I would be crisp, sharp, and clean. But the background would be blurry. Like, 3D has a thing that pretty much helps you focus on the thing that you're supposed to focus in. So with 48 frames, that is not big of a deal. The blurriness isn't that evident. And when I really think about it now, I can't have a crisp, like, clear memory of when was it for sure all the scenes, but for a fact, the blurriness wasn't that bad. But can I say that for 2D? I don't know what happens if you watch this film in 48 frames per second in 2D. It might be kind of overwhelming, I would say. Because I mean, online there's mixed reviews on how well this movie is doing. And I haven't read any of them, so maybe the bad reviews has been talking about the 2D 48. So that's pretty much about the film itself, how it's filmed. One last thing though, Peter Jackson did film this film in 48 frames per second. So if you do want to watch it in the vision of Peter Jackson, you should really check out 48 frames per second. Just make sure when you ask to buy the tickets, you tell them which format you want it in. So that's it. So let's go with the plot. So if you don't know, Hobbit is a prequel written also by J.R.R. Tolkien, the writer of Lord of the Rings. Please tell me you know that. So it's 60 years before Lord of the Rings. Is that based off the book? I can't tell you because I never read the book. It was actually read to me when I was in grade 4, and I still have a great memory of it because it was just really awesome. Pretty much it's like the dwarves, all of a sudden this dragon Smog came and attacked them and then pushed them out of the realm. And they just had to scatter and find jobs and stuff. And now this prince, after 3 generations, is like, no, I see the signs, I'm gonna get my home back. Gandalf helps him out and gathers like 13 other dwarves and a hobbit, because you just need a hobbit for things. They just need to get to the mountain and get the dwarf home back. Though, one thing, Hobbit is 1 book, but they're making it into 3 films. If you follow the Hobbit stuff, this is not new. But if you don't, Lord of the Rings, each Lord of the Rings book was only 1 movie. But now, Hobbit is 1 book, but 3 movies. So realistically, if like they redo Lord of the Rings, I want 9 movies, please. So anyway, that's the plot. What I liked about this film, pacing is very different. I mean, there were a lot of rising action and like conflict and stuff, and like it's not like your typical film, I think, because they can drag it out into 3 films that they made things longer than they usually are. Like, for example, a fight scene where the good guys come out of the forest and just tackle some, like, people. And usually it would be, like, done in a jiffy if they wanted to, like, stress some certain aspect of the fight. But this was a lot longer than it should have been, but I guess because they have the time and they could give up more information, more action, that they made it longer. With having 3 movies, they have more time to play with things. And I say the dialogue and the characterization, for me, feels a lot better in The Hobbit. For the life of me, I can't remember Gandalf really having that much characterization with his lines. Because I felt like in Lord of the Rings, you can call me, what am I saying? You can call me crazy or whatever. But Lord of the Rings, the general feeling for me thinking about back then is just like Gandalf was a wizard in the sense where there wasn't that many communication because it was Frodo and then you got other sworn cast like the other hobbits and Aragorn and Legolas, right? And Gimli. But Gandalf was there and not there at the same time. But for here, it felt like he had a lot more dialogue and it grew his character for me a lot more. Also, you have 13 dwarves instead of like, what? 1 human, 1 elf, and 1 dwarf, and 4 hobbits in Lord of the Rings. 13 dwarves, I can't remember their names because a lot of them had just they were there, but they didn't really contribute. But there were a few that, probably 5 or 6, that had more lines and more characterization. Though I hope they use them more in the second and third film, which they probably will. And I think that it's like, how I would describe it is that the company itself for this quest, it's a lot larger. But then the world around them is a lot smaller compared to Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings, your company of the ring was small. But then you have so many other things to consider within the world. And if you didn't know, Watson from Sherlock is Bilbo Baggins. And I must say, he is spot on and awesome as Bilbo Baggins. And also, I think the storyline itself helps Bilbo in a sense where he is a character that is like, I don't want to be here, but I want to help you. Unlike Frodo, who's like, I don't want to be here, but I have to be here. To me, Frodo complained a lot, and to me, it was more of the supporting cast that helped him move on. And I look forward to the supporting cast more than actual Frodo lines. So it was like, put in a sense, I felt like Frodo was just whining the entire trip to Mordor. I don't know, as a character, I felt like I couldn't really connect to him in the sense where I didn't feel the weight of the ring. But with Bilbo, he's just on an adventure, right? It's on a journey, and I could like, oh, this is really interesting. He's struggling because he doesn't really belong anywhere, but the dwarf doesn't belong anywhere either. And then there's this like, I don't know, this is really good characterization that I really liked. And also the CGI. The CGI in this film greatly improved because, I mean, you've been given 6 years. Computers are awesome. And I must say, some of the close-ups of some characters is just nuts. If they pulled that off in Lord of the Rings time, it would have been like, they couldn't have pulled it off. Because when you really remember, there really wasn't that many close-ups of a certain character. And I must say, this certain character in The Hobbit was amazing. His close-ups were just great. And the lines, and like the context of the situation that he was in, the scene, awesome, awesome stuff. What I didn't like. There really isn't anything I didn't like. You could say that the pacing is kind of long, but I say it was good enough in the sense where it builds character. Like, because I mean, Bilbo Baggins was not established whatsoever in Lord of the Rings. Like, he's an old guy that was on an adventure. I mean, sure, I don't know. I'm really just saying on like what I remember of Lord of the Rings, and if Bilbo was a great character in Lord of the Rings, please tell me. But for me, in a sense, where Frodo was on the front line, Bilbo Baggins was just the uncle that just had the ring, and there wasn't much to him. But here, it builds Bilbo up, because the pacing, it's long. You got the whole scene with like the dwarves coming into his hobbit hole, and it's just long and long. There's this real struggle in a sense where, do we really attempt this quest? Because it's pretty nuts. So yeah, I can't really think of anything to complain or like point out that I didn't like. Though there might be some pacing issues in the sense of action where it was too fast to see what was really going on. I mean, I heard people saying that. But for me, I can catch it because I FPS all the time. 48 frames per second, good stuff. I would really hope that in the future that more films in 3D pull off 48 frames. In 2D, I guess I have to watch the movie again to see if there's a major change or like it. So I'm really hoping to see if I read anything about how people are saying that they don't like the film because they're watching it in 48 frames in 2D. Maybe, that's what I'm thinking. So yeah, that is my review on The Hobbit. It was an awesome film, enjoyed it very much. The music was very nostalgic, one last thing, yeah. It was just like, it felt like, oh, we're back in Middle-earth. So it's great stuff, good stuff. Sadly though, we had to wait for 1 whole year for the second part, but at least the time between second part and third part seems like it's only 6 months. So that's awesome stuff. So there you go. That was my Hobbit review, and I hope you really do enjoy it when you go check it out. Anyway, that is all. See ya.